Hello, welcome back for another episode of Hunter Tuned. Today we are going to be working on something a little bit different, something that I normally don't do on the channel. I kind of just do it off camera and whatever, but I haven't been doing a whole lot of car stuff in the last few days. I've been doing some family stuff, and you know, I had my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary and some other stuff that you know, I just didn't have time to really film anything, and been busy doing some other stuff with customer cars and website stuff. So really just haven't had the time or motivation to film anything. I've been doing a few things off camera, and we got this GSR motor all done. This is the CSS GSR motor. We got the timing belt on, everything is done. Got the new dowel pin and O-ring installed on the center cam cap. And intake's on. This thing's ready to be picked up. It just needs a valve cover, which T-Bag has. So T-Bag did a custom paint job on the valve cover for this guy, so he's going to be getting the valve cover, and then he's picking it up, and he's going to take the motor back to his place, put it in, and then bring me the whole car back so we can do turbo kit stuff, tuning, all that happy shit. So in the meantime, over the last weekend, I picked up a jet ski because the girlfriend really wanted one, so me and her kind of split a really cheap jet ski so we could get out on the water and try to make some money on them as well. So I picked up a Polaris SLT 750, which is over on the trailer over here. I've had I don't even know. I've had a shitload of cars, a shitload of bikes, a shitload of jet skis, snowmobiles, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, you name it. And like I said, I haven't really filmed any of it on the channel, but I mean, I'm just gonna roll with it because I've already had a couple people complaining about, oh my god, it's been 4 days and you haven't put out a video. Are you sick? Are you feeling okay? And I'm like, yeah, dude, sometimes I just want time for myself, if you know what I mean. So anyways, I picked up that SLT 750 for a really good deal. That jet ski is pretty much perfect. Just needs a few odds and ends things. And sure shit, that day, a pair of them went on Craigslist or Facebook or something. And I got another pair. So I have 3 total now. And the only reason I bought them is because I'm going to be making hopefully a good amount of money. Actually, the plan is, and I'm hoping that this will work out, is this ski right here, I'm going to fix and sell on this single place trailer and pay for those 2. So these are gonna, I'll keep for me and the girlfriend, and this one, me fixing it and selling it, will have paid for the 2 I have on the trailer, if that makes sense. Obviously, there was a little bit of upfront cost to get all of them, but by the time I fix this one and get it out the door, I'll have pretty much nothing into those, which is a 2-place trailer with 2 skis, which, you know, should go for like $2,500, especially in this freaking heat with the 4th of July coming up and whatnot. You know, now's the time to make money selling jet skis or motorcycles or anything. So anyways, where I'm at, I live like literally a quarter mile from the lake. So I get to test these things and play with them quite a bit at my leisure because I live real close to the lake. But this is a Polaris SL 750, meaning that it is a triple-cylinder 2-stroke engine. Pretty much same thing as like a snowmobile engine and all that kind of stuff. And this motor here is yeah, she's locked up. So what I did, it doesn't appear to have like a rod out of the block or anything like that. So what I did is I kind of just poured some ATF in the cylinders because sometimes the rings and shit will get stuck, or you know, if it's got a busted piston or something, sometimes putting ATF in the cylinders will free shit up and get it to spin over. But it's been sitting here for like 2 days now, and it's still locked up. So I'm gonna pull the motor out of this thing. I actually got a guy real close to town here that parts out snowmobiles and jet skis and stuff, and he's literally got a junkyard of these things. So I'm gonna get a motor from him, which, you know, shouldn't cost barely anything because, like I said, he's kind of a family friend and whatnot. So I'm gonna get a new motor for this and whatnot. But first, we're gonna pull the old motor out, and to do this, I'm pretty sure you just got, I've never done this before, but I've messed with them a little bit. I've messed with snowmobiles and stuff, and I kind of wanted to just work on some of this stuff just to kind of have a change of pace. Also, a motorcycle is broken currently because the clutch, some in the clutch went out. I don't know what, but yeah, it's got some issues with the clutch not disengaging, and literally, like, you pull the lever in. I went through the whole freaking system with the clutch and everything on that thing. Didn't film any of it because I got extremely frustrated, and it's still broken. So I don't know what the hell is wrong with the bike, but the clutch is not disengaging. I went through all the freaking clutch plates and everything, and the fucking levers and the cable, and adjusted everything, and did everything I could, and it still does not disengage. The clutch pads and everything are good, like I said, but it just doesn't disengage. It's got a busted bolt and the frickin' pressure plate there. But, I mean, I went through everything, like I said, guys. So I'm going to have a buddy come over and help me with that tomorrow, I hope. But anyways, back to the story here. Now, these things have like a jet pump, it's called, or like a propeller, which sits back here and is held in by 4 bolts. So you're going to have 2 bolts on one side, 2 bolts on the other, and then you have a linkage that comes here, which bolts onto the prop as well, and that is your steering. So with the handlebars, it'll steer the prop, you know, left or right. And then you have this guy right here. This is the lever for the trim, and this allows the prop to go up or down. This particular jet ski has adjustable trim, so you can hit up or down. You know, when you have the prop up, it gives you a better hole shot power, so the ski will come up on plane really good and damn near wheelie out of the water. And you can have the trim down low for, you know, cruising smoothly and for you know, more like top speed and stuff. So I got the prop already removed out of this one because I actually swapped the prop out of this because it had a performance prop on it, so I threw that prop on a different ski, one of the other ones on the double place trailer over there, and I took the prop out of it already. But that's the first step to get one of these engines out. It's just pretty much a drive shaft that goes directly through the center of the hull and comes down to the prop, and like once you take those 4 bolts out and a couple things there that I showed you, all that prop and the drive shaft and everything will come right out. So next, what I'm going to tackle is just get all the hoses off, which there's 2 little vent hoses here. These little vent hoses actually hook up to the prop too on the inside, and they allow, they're pretty much just like a siphon. So if you get water in the hull, it will siphon out water and blow it out of the jet pump or the propeller, whatever. So I got those 2 hoses disconnected, and then it has the water line to the motor, which hooks up to the prop as well. So I already removed that. And the water lines for the motor also go to the exhaust, which is back here. So I'm going to have to remove this hose right here, and then I'm going to have to remove the exhaust system. So there's a couple hose clamps here and a bungee cord that holds that. And then once the exhaust is out of the way, we'll probably remove the battery and the whole brain box here. This is like the CDI or whatever, just held in by bungee cords as well. So we'll take that out, and then I don't know what else we really need to remove to pull the motor. I know it's 4 bolts that hold the whole thing in, and then we just get in there and be a gorilla and Hercules that son of a bitch out of there. There may be a few fuel lines under the intake here. I may remove this intake cover and be able to see a lot of that stuff better, but I'll pick up here in a little while once I get some work done and show you the progress. Okay guys, 1 beer in, and we're pretty far already. I just pulled the exhaust off, which is held on by like 4 big bolts on the top. So this size 19mm bolt actually bolts on the top here. So this is like the expansion chamber of the exhaust, and the bolts go through the top here to hold it to the manifold. And I just took those 4 bolts out, and then I could move this out of the way after the muffler was removed. And then after that, I got the exhaust manifold off the engine, which is just 9 bolts on the bottom. And to my surprise, look at this. Look at these chunks. We got some chunks that were hanging out in the exhaust. So yeah, and of course it's the far cylinder. So these triples are actually really common to kick out the far cylinder, at least these Polarises, because the older style fuel pumps, from what I've read online and stuff, the older style fuel pumps actually lack fuel supply to the far carburetor. So that carburetor runs lean, causing this piston to go out a lot of the times. Because the fuel supply and the pump actually sit over on this side. So that's at least what I've heard. The other jet ski I have actually has the updated fuel pump on it already, but we might just have to do a little bit of tuning on this motor to actually make it, you know, run how it's supposed to. So yeah, next plan of attack here. I mean, the only other thing I did other than remove the exhaust and everything was just take the battery out and you know, take the bungees off of the CDI box or the, you know, the brain box there. Got the battery out, and then I also removed the fuel lines and the intake. So the intake just bolts on with 9 bolts on the top. This is just a, you know, little thing here, and then it's got 3 oil injection lines that go into the intake box, and then that whole thing comes off as well. So next, I think I'm just going to remove the starter, the wire at least for the starter. So there's just a wire down there, positive wire, that we'll have to take off so we can get the battery cable off. And then I'm going to remove the throttle and choke cables, and I think we can take off the 4 motor mount bolts. So yeah, that might be all we need to do, and then this engine should be out of here, and maybe we'll pull one of the jugs off and see how bad the piston is. All right, guys, out of breath here, but I Hercules this fucking thing out of here. It's just kind of propped up onto the hull, or where the seat goes right now. The only thing I have still hooked up is one of the oil injection hoses hooked up to the oil pump here. I just got to get a pliers and get that off. So it's just a little hose clamp down here, and we'll get that thing walked off of there and get that pulled off. There we go. Sorry, probably didn't film any of that, but here's the oil line that comes from the oil injection tank, and then that goes main feed into the oil pump, and then you got 3 little lines that come off and go into each carburetor up on top of the intake, like I was telling you guys on that thing. And then yeah, so as for the wiring, this was a little bit confusing because I actually had to disconnect the wiring at the brain box down here, and there's a bunch of butt connectors and shit that you just kind of got to take apart. A lot of the wires are color coordinated, but you probably just want to take a picture of all the wiring before you go and yank all of it out. But yeah, for the most part, that wiring stuff, it's kind of just jammed in there. I don't know if that's how it is from the factory, probably, because this is a fucking mid-90s technology here. But the wiring, like I said, I just kind of unplugged a lot of it, and the wiring is just kind of chilling here now. So yeah, you'll have a coolant temp sensor that goes into the water, you know, crossover thing on the top of the motor by the exhaust, and then you got a bunch of these little butt connectors and spade connectors that you just got to unplug out of the CDI, and then the wiring comes out with the engine. You might be able to disconnect it in here somewhere, but I didn't really bother doing that. I just figured I'll just pull it from the CDI box. And I also have 2 other parts jet skis, or not parts jet skis, but they're good jet skis where I can reference where the wiring went and figure out how it's got to go back on. But like I said, other than that, just take pictures or whatever. But yeah, like I said, I just kind of muscled over this thing and just kind of yanked it out. They're not really that heavy, but it's a little awkward to get it off of each of the engine mounts down there. Like I said, there's four bolts in the hull there that need to be taken off. And yeah, so I'm gonna get this engine onto the ground, and then I'm gonna rip the jugs off, I think. And maybe the carburetors, I'll take those off too and kind of check this thing out. All right, guys, so the motor is out of the ski, and we got, like I said, a broken piston. So this is the far cylinder closest to the flywheel stator fucking starter side of the whole deal here. And yeah, like I said, this piston is completely fucking toasted. The rod's not even onto the crankshaft anymore, so that's totally messed up. This piston here doesn't look like 100% bad, but it is worn pretty bad on the intake side of things. The exhaust side's pretty clean on that piston. Same thing here, we got some scoring on the intake side of this piston, but I mean, these ones are still decent yet. The rods are all in good shape. I ended up pulling the whole intake system off of this thing as well. 2 strokes have reed valves, which reed valves are pretty much like a, you know, you can compare them to like an IAB on a GSR motor, like the Butterflies. A couple more beers here. a couple more beers in here, and I'm talking about this stuff. But the reed valves are kind of like the butterflies on like a GSR intake manifold, where they kind of open up as RPM increases. And yeah, so I pulled off all the reed valves. The one on this cylinder obviously was completely fucked. So yeah, this is the reed valve out of that far cylinder that busted. So this reed valve is completely garbage. All the other reeds are still decent yet. These two are okay. Got a bunch of gaskets laying around. That's the wrist pin and the bearing out of that other fried cylinder. Yep, she's junk. So the jugs here, these are the cylinders for this motor. There's two decent ones left, and the one obviously is completely fucked. There's the piston. It's kind of hanging out in there. So yeah, got this motor pretty much disassembled completely. I got the carburetors over here as well. I may end up throwing these carburetors on my other jet ski, because the one jet ski that I have is actually the other jet ski I have kind of has a bog, like a power loss below half throttle. So I may throw these carburetors on that jet ski and see if it clears up, or I might tear them apart and see if I can kind of clean them out and get everything running good again. So yeah, here's the flywheel cover, or whatever, the stator cover. Here's the intake manifold where the carbs bolt on to the reeds. I got all these bolts kind of just scattered around just because, like I said, this motor is pretty much junk, and I'm going to be buying a full engine from a guy. So I'm really not going to need any of this stuff. I'll probably just throw it all away. But I kind of wanted to play around and, you know, see how to tear one apart and all that kind of stuff. This motor, I pulled out all the case bolts like on the bottom end of the motor, and I can't seem to get the cases separated. I took a screwdriver in here, and oh, this fucking bitch is heavy. I got the cases split like down here, but I can't get them split up here for some reason, and I can't get the flywheel off, or whatever the hell this thing is. This guy right here, I can't get this out. So if you guys know how to get that out, I feel like that's what's holding me up and why I can't get the cases separated. Yeah, so the starter gear is kind of just chilling in here. This flywheel torque converter stator fucking thingamabobber is stuck in here as well, and I can't get it out. This case was busted. Yeah, so yeah, can't get that out. I don't know what the deal is. Probably need a puller or something to pull it out. But anyways, like I said, I'm just going to kind of use this junk as parts. So when I get the new engine, I can kind of just throw it in, and we'll be all good to go, and we can go test them out. But for the time being, I'm probably just going to call it a night and work on the other ones tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to film them or not. Like I said, I'm kind of just testing this out and seeing if you guys enjoy this kind of content. Enjoying other stuff other than like Hondas and, you know, Chevy Mustangs and shit. Obviously I want to continue doing that stuff, and I will continue doing that stuff, but once in a while it's kind of nice to take a break from that and do something a little bit different. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. We will be posting more stuff, hopefully with the jet skis and motorcycles and all that kind of stuff, as well as Hondas, turbos, and Chevy V8 motors. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and thank you for watching, and have a good night.